What do you need to do, Thomas?
As soon as you guys are 3 minutes away, I'll do my final wire and we'll go hot.
Okay. Get hot?
You need to do
No, I'm not hot yet.
Okay, wait. I want to see where the camera's so everybody knows the time.
We'll get all that shit back once we wire him and we know where it's got to be. Then we'll start from the way out.
Okay. We need to do
Is the battery off and done now?
Did you see anything noteworthy in that clip?
Just muzzle discipline.
You said muzzle discipline?
And also a weapon.
Get a little closer to that microphone, would you?
My apologies, I'm sorry. Muzzle discipline, but more importantly, there was a weapon exchange that occurred with, I didn't see a safety check between those weapons. Not sure if it was a replica that she was handing off or a live firearm.
Is the battery off and done now?
Too much talking around.
You had concerns about that.
Assuming that it was two live weapons being exchanged, I'm not exactly sure why that would have occurred. Then there should have been a safety check between those two. If he had a replica, then that would have been a good thing that he had a replica previously. But then if she handed him off a live gun, at that point in time, there should have been a safety check. But more likely in this particular circumstance, he's wired at the back and he's about to do a stunt where they're going to probably do a dead man's snatch. They're going to snatch him into that wall, probably when he's been fired upon or whatnot. Having said that, they probably took the live weapon and handed him a replica, a soft replica, so he wouldn't get hurt when he lands on the ground, metal object in his hand and whatnot. So that probably was an exchange for a soft rubber replica gun.
Okay.
And it's an assumption, I'm not sure.
And do you have a comment on Ms. Gutierrez's handling of that shotgun that she's carrying?
She's still carrying it by the muzzle end. That looks like a different shotgun, actually, than the previous one.
Okay. State's Exhibit 158.
So let's wait before we hook him up.
Yeah, otherwise he can catch all sorts
Now,
of stuff.
you know, I'm not saying he won't get blood on the rim. I don't know how these are.
No worries. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
How, Thomas, how much blood do you think's going to come out? If the lens is right here.
It'll get on you from there.
It'll get on the lens here.
It'll get on you.
See, I was thinking ahead.
Alright, so the camera, make sure you put in an optical flat and back camera. Wait, where's the blood? Really? The blood? Hey, Dave.
Anything worrisome in that video?
Assuming Ms. Gutierrez is behind camera, then they would be prepping for that scene and everything would have been in place. So no, assuming she's there.
Okay. And let me ask you this. In addition to seeing videos from the production outfitters behind the scenes collection, have you also seen some of the actual movie takes that were filmed during the 12 days of filming for Rust?
Yes.
I'm going to play for you State's Exhibit 59, which is going to be from that collection.
There was one additional.
Hey, Mark.
Stop.
Hey.
159. I apologize.
There was one additional video in that exhibit. Are we continuing on with the behind the scenes now?
No, I was gonna move us to the Rust Productions videos.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Well, just a minute. So did you publish 158? I guess is the question. Is that what the question is?
Yes, I published 158. Now we're moving on to 159.
Okay.
And Mr. Carpenter, I think I understand your question. Let's go ahead and move on to these.
Copy that.
Okay.
Mark. Set, ready, and action. One more. I forgot to recoil stuff. No, right away. Let's reload. Here we go.
So, Halyna, hi.
Here we go. Come on.
Well, I had to go closer because Danny did, so. You want...
We should have had 2 guns and both were reloading.
And hang on just a second. I think at the beginning, for some reason, what I want to show you is out of this frame. Bear with me. Mr. Bowe, how can I do frame by frame? Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can get to what I wanted to visit with you about. And for the record, I'm just fast forwarding frame by frame. Sorry, that takes a long time. I apologize. Let me ask you this. Mr. Lewis, do you see the issue?
I do.
Okay.
I think
You're going to help me fix that?
I am.
Okay. But for the purposes of this, just so that we can move on, have you seen this video where the frame is a little bit bigger and you can see someone over on the far right side of the frame? And I can't play it on that.
I know.
Okay.
I just want to make sure this is the right thing you're looking for.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. We'll swap it out. I'm gonna show you the one that has the wider frame. I apologize for that error, but we'll go ahead and go through your testimony now. So the other wider frame of this video, what do you see over on the right hand side?
Well, you have 2 cameras operating in that particular scene. If it's the one I'm thinking of, you've got an A cam and a B cam, meaning they're filming it from 2 different locations. So you're actually seeing from one of the camera angles that has an entire operating crew behind it, which will have a first aid, so they'll have a camera operator, etc., behind that camera. So imagine a crew of people, a few people behind that camera, and then you've got the other camera that you're actually seeing in frame being filmed. And a lot of times in an action sequence, they'll film it from 2 different angles, so you can cut and chop it up in editorial. So that's what you're going to be seeing if it's the video that I'm remembering correctly.
Okay, and the gentleman here will pull it and we'll play it. Generally speaking, and we're going to play the other video. Well, you know what? Let's move to the. I think this is. I don't recall if this is Cam A or Cam B. Oh, okay. They're keeping me straight here. Let's see.
Hey, Mark. There you go, Mark. Set. Ready. And action.
What's happening there? Do you see this over on the right here?
So keep in mind, as I said previously, you will see a camera crew operating, and he's doing what's called a handheld right there. He's hand holding the camera and moving it, meaning it's not on a dolly or a track or anything of that nature. So that camera operator's hand holding that piece of equipment with operators behind him. Remember that the frame that you're seeing here has that exact same situation going on as well behind this. So it's a number of people out here, both behind that camera and behind the one that we're seeing POV from, okay? And that appears to be a full flash blank just from the report, the amount of powder that's leaving the barrel, the amount of report and gun smoke that's coming out. I would imagine that's a full flash blank. And one of the first rounds that he fired actually incapacitated the camera and operator in the smoke, meaning he was entirely too close to that camera to fire that. We have a minimum amount of distance that is required for safety when you're firing blanks, depending on what type of blank you're firing, and that was well within the safety zone.
And let's say you're wrong. Let's say that wasn't a full load blank. Let's say it was a half load or a quarter load. How does that? Well, let me stop for just a second and let me ask you this. Can you explain to the jury, talk to them a little bit about blank rounds and whether or not blank rounds can be dangerous?
Sure. So a few years back, the local 600, which is a camera union, and the gentleman that works in that union, he's one of their business reps, asked me to do a soft tissue video series showing the effects of soft tissue from blanks. A tomato is a very good example of the human skin from a very non-scientific standpoint, right? But the internal part of a tomato and the external being the skin tissue is a very good example. So we took a tomato and at different distances fired quarter flash, half flash, full flash blanks at that tomato in high-speed cameras to show the effects of it. You also get down to blanks that get into 1.8, 1.6, 2.3, but that's really, really small things that just make the firearm operate if it's a semi or fully automatic, and not something that we would be dealing with here. So getting back to your point directly, we did that video series, and a full flash blank from the distance of easily 6 feet to 8 feet can peel the skin off and do damage, trauma to the inside of it. Half flash blank at 4 to 6 feet, so forth and so on. Again, not an exact distance ratio to hear it today in court, but well within any distance that's being fired there would have done damage to human tissue if it would hit it. And you can almost assuredly say that was a full flash blank from the distance of the report. You can see the smoke travel from the muzzle, which is the area of the firearm where a projectile technically would come out, from the muzzle end of that weapon to the end of that initial smoke stream, which if you had a high-speed enough camera, you would see fire in there as well. It's gunpowder burning inside of that smoke. You can see that it's all the way to the camera, which is approximately, I would say that's about 8 feet, 7 to 8 feet.
Is there any, when a blank is fired, is it possible that something is expelled from the firearm?
There is things expelled from the firearm. Now, movie blanks are a bit different than, say, a military blank because they're meant to be shot in closer proximities, et cetera, and you want all the particulates inside of the casing, i.e. the gunpowder, anything inside of there, to completely and totally burn up, almost like magic powder. You've seen the magicians throw the thing and all that paper burns up instantaneously, something to the effect of that. You would want it all to burn up as quickly as possible the minute it is ignited and leaves the muzzle of that weapon. Okay, so there is a little bit of difference. However, it still sends unburnt powder and particulates out of that muzzle, which can put an eye out, burn the skin, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Not to mention the concussive force of it alone.
Okay, so I'm going to get to that frame right there. Specifically that frame, what's concerning?
Well, he's within, outside of the bounds of safe distance. In other words, he's well within the no-go zone there, and he's pointing and firing the weapon directly at camera. Now, there are particular scenes which are set up in a very specific and controlled manner that you can, point at or near camera. But for the most part, you always instruct any of your performers to always aim off camera. Never aim directly at somebody, aim directly off of them, even if it's 4 or 5 inches or a foot or two, right? Now, I'm just speaking with an empty weapon that's already been cleared, not to mention a blank, where this is not even what we're talking about now. When you just generally aim a weapon, cheat it to the side a little bit. But in this particular case, we're firing the blank. You would want to have 4 feet off camera angle that he should be shooting to the side. And keep in mind, no camera crew behind there as well. That entire right-hand side or right camera of where he's shooting should be completely clear of any personnel, and he should be shooting at least 4 feet off to the right of that camera, and he should be at least 21 feet away.
Okay.
One more. I forgot the recoil stuff. No, right away. Let's reload.
Here we go.
So, Halyna, hi.
How many movie sets do you think you've worked on in your career?
100.
That conduct that we're seeing on the part of Mr. Baldwin, is that typical conduct from an actor on a movie set?
No.
Why not?
Well, number one, he's basically instructing the armor how to do their job at that point, telling them that we should have had the gun a second reload, hurry up, give it to me fast. This is that moment. This is that moment I spoke about earlier. This is that moment that you need to stop and say, no, I'm not going to hurry up, I'm going to slow down. And we don't need to be, passing off weapons this fast or loading guns this fast. This is creating an unsafe and nerve-wracking situation, to describe it in more layman's terms. Always on any kind of live training exercise, military training or whatnot, you don't want to put people in a nervous position. That creates, now you can stress, it's a level of stress that's necessary in realism training for military and law enforcement. This is not that. This should be separate and apart from that, and even when that's being done under those circumstances, it's done in a controlled manner. But rushing with firearms and telling someone to rush with firearms is not normal nor accepted.
Okay. And for the purposes of a couple follow-up questions, I want you to assume that that gentleman there in the black with blonde hair is the first assistant director.
Here we go. Come on.
Well, I had to go closer because Danny did, so. You want
We should have had 2 guns, and both were reloading.
Okay.
Did you see him just walk away?
I did.
What's your opinion on that?
I don't really know what he was doing in that particular moment. I saw Miss Gutierrez attempting to reload that weapon as fast as she could, of course assuming it's blanks, and we're using the same weapon. She was doing it. It looked like the prop master may have been holding lever action over her shoulder. Not really sure what Mr. Halls is doing.
Okay. Is Mr. Halls the person who's responsible for doing the weapons check with Ms. Gutierrez?
He would be if you were doing it in that particular scene, just reloading blanks to it. It would be a quick, check with the armorer and with the actors. They're loading it to ensure their blanks being loaded. But many times in a situation like that where you're being rushed to that extent, that's when safety starts falling by the wayside.
And could you see, and I can replay the last few seconds of it, where Ms. Gutierrez was getting her dummy rounds?
You could replay it. I didn't.
Let's see. Let me back up a little more.
I forgot the recoil stuff. No, right away. Let's reload.
Here we go.
So, Halyna, hi.
Here we go. Come on.
Well, I had to go closer because Danny did, so. You want
We should have had 2 guns, and both were reloading.
Okay.
Can you see in the video where she's getting her rounds from?
It looks like she was getting the blank rounds, assuming they're about to fire again, from her fanny pack.
And would that be advisable?
I prefer to operate out of a secured box for my blanks that have been pre-checked prior to. Again, that may be her protocol, operating off. But in my experience, having multiple things in one area together that are not sequestered apart from one another just leans for potential trouble downstream.
Okay. I'm going to go back to State's Exhibit 159. So 159 is the other camera angle of 160, where we can see 160 is where we can see the cameraman on the side. Let's do 159 again now that it has a little more context.
Set.
Ready, and action.
Could you, in that moment, see the smoke go directly at the camera?
I could.
Frame by frame, please. Oh, that might be more than I can do. Okay. So that shot, when he fires the gun that time, did we see that initial shot from the other camera?
It appears to be maybe the first one or the second one. I think the second one was the more concerning.
Okay.
Not sure where that started from.
What are we looking at here?
Well, the camera lens has got smoke obscuring it. Cameras can be, relatively tricky when you're viewing it from the angle of the camera and after that. But the better angle on that was the first angle from the first one. But again, it's difficult to see. You just see smoke over the lens.
Having seen the other video, is it your opinion that the smoke that we are seeing right here is from the gun being fired at the camera?
Correct. I mean, the other camera told the story of what occurred there, the more correctly.
Okay.
Hey, Mark.
All right, State's Exhibit 161.
No, just,
Yeah?
When you drop your arm, that means he's 10 feet away. I can't see how close he is, but I want to be almost up by the time he gets here.
No, I'm going to go into this.
yeah.
Well, let me show you something. Hold on. Step back to your original mark. So 1,000, 1,000, 3, I'm getting up.
Right.
Then when he drops his arm, Halyna, get out. He drops his arm. That means Brady's close. I'm going to start to really get up.
Okay.
Do you see anything concerning here?
He's doing what we saw previously in one of the other videos with the stunt performer. He's using the weapon as a pointing stick, as if it's his finger.
And you've seen this video before.
I have.
And what is your understanding about what that gun's loaded with?
It's loaded with probably full flash blanks, but blanks.
Okay. When Mr. Baldwin behaves this way and is using the revolver as a pointer, what is the responsibility on the part of Ms. Gutierrez?
To intercede and correct any unsafe behavior. Now, obviously, again, we're talking about the nuances of doing it. I would start off pulling him aside or talking to him individually and say, if we could, let's be careful with that muzzle. Remember muzzle discipline. I even have a little thing that I talk to when I hand a weapon off to an actor, and it's what I used to say back in the day. I would say control, and the actors would have to repeat the word control to me. And by repetitively doing that, it becomes a mental training technique to teach them that they are now fully in control of that weapon, and their actions while they have it is on them. They are part of that other side of that coin we talked about. If moving past that, I was not getting any result on that, I would have to intercede in this on-camera moment or in rehearsal moment. And then from there, it just depends on whether or not they want to be safe on scene or they want to find somebody else.
Okay. All right, we will go ahead and play from 23 seconds.
Here we go. Let's try it.
And everyone
Roll and
can
roll.
see to be right here, like in the path of the gun. Could you please move?
Did you hear that?
I did.
Tell us what's going on there.
It sounded like Miss Gutierrez attempting to correct the fact that she knew that Mr. Baldwin was pointing that weapon in an unsafe manner, and she was attempting to move the crew out of the path of where he was pointing it, knowing that it was loaded with blanks.
Is there a problem with attempting to move the crew?
That's the one of the two things that should be occurring. You identify the problem that created the fact that the crew was in an unsafe position, and then you clear out the crew. And she was attempting to, I would assume, not correct Mr. Baldwin, but try to make the crew in a more safe position.
Okay. Did you hear that?
Check quarter loads, is that what she said?
And do you know whether or not it was actually a quarter load?
I do not know.
Okay. In terms of the timing of Ms. Gutierrez telling, and why don't you give the ladies and gentlemen of the jury an idea of how many people are behind this camera?
So in a particular scene like this, assume they're shooting it with one camera, camera A, okay? Then you're going to have your sound, you're going to have your sound mixer, you're going to have your camera, your DP, director of photography, you're going to have your first AC, generally a focus puller, first assistant camera, you'll have a second assistant camera. More than likely wardrobe is going to be on set as well, hair and makeup as well. You could have even PAs on set standing there. So you're looking at anywhere in a scene like this between, 6 and 11 people out there.
Is it advisable?
I'm sorry, props, of course. I left props out.
Okay. Is it advisable for Ms. Gutierrez to wait until the last minute to tell the crew to get out of the way?
No, the direction of firing should have been established prior to the scene. Which way is Mr. Baldwin going to point that weapon? Which way is Mr. Baldwin going to discharge that weapon? Where he's going to walk and in what angle is he going to walk? His starting point, his ending point. And you take all of those things into consideration along with the type of load he's firing, and then you move your crew out appropriately.
Okay.
Second, if I'm going to shoot right, you want to go on the other side of the camera? I don't want to shoot toward you. Okay, right here. Okay, I'm going to shoot close to you. Here we go.
Set. Here we go. Ready. And action.
Go! Motherfucker.
So, can you give us an idea? Is it important when you're on a movie set and you hear the word cut, is it important that the actors not continue to fire the guns?
Yes. And then when you say cut, everything stops, and it's not just from a creative standpoint, it's also from a safety standpoint. Keep in mind, you're dealing with stunts, special effects, explosives, et cetera, et cetera. So when the word cut is said, everything should cease immediately.
So in this instance where Mr. Baldwin was firing the gun after the word cut, is there anything that you would have done?
I would file that under the category of going, as the old saying goes, off script. He went off script there and fired for whatever reason that I guess he felt he needed to, but I would have probably said something to him about that as well.
Afterwards?
Afterwards.
Okay.
I would have asked him why he did it, and I would have probably phrased it in a way that it was like, is something wrong with the firearm? Did you have it cocked? Was your finger still on the trigger? Why did that extra round go off at the end?
Yeah. Now, obviously, Ms. Gutierrez is not as experienced as you are. Does her lack of experience, in your opinion, change the amount of responsibility she has as the armorer on the movie set?
Once you take, I would like to expound on that a
Sure,
little bit.
move your microphone a little closer if you can, if it will move. Okay.
Once you take on the responsibility of safety for another person, you take on a responsibility of making sure that you do what's necessary, even if it's inconvenient, even if it's not in your best interest. And if that isn't something that you feel capable of doing, then you should never step into that position. And it's unfortunate, I feel, that Ms. Gutierrez's experience level on this film may not have worked in her favor. It was the best thing I could probably say there. However, she took the position, and therefore these people on the movie set depended on her guidance and her professionalism to keep anyone from being harmed. And convenience isn't an option at that point.
Okay. Get that. Hold on. Give me the drive. Sir, how are you currently employed?
I am not.
Congratulations. Why are you not employed?
I retired from the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office in July.
In July, okay. And how are you employed on October 21st of 2021?
I was a lieutenant with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, day shift commander.
Give us an idea of your background and experience in terms of your law enforcement experience.
I did 20 years with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, going through the ranks from deputy to lieutenant.
How many years?
20 years.
And did you have any law enforcement experience before going to the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department?
I did not.
Okay. And how did you become involved in the incident on October 21st, 2021 at Bonanza Creek Ranch?
I was a day shift commander. We had gotten dispatched to the Bonanza Creek Ranch.
What did you think you were being dispatched to?
Dispatch advised that there was a accidental shooting with a prop gun.
And what did you do when you received that information?
Due to the nature of the call, I activated my lights and sirens, and I proceeded to the movie ranch.
And tell us what you saw when you arrived. What was going on? Describe the scene to us.
Coming upon the movie ranch, there is security. The movie ranch is quite large. One of the security guards at the time told us that to follow him in because it was quite large, the movie set. As soon as we got to the movie set itself, it was chaos. There was people everywhere. Deputy LaFleur was already on scene. I didn't know where he was, and I was being directed to the makeshift church.
And sir, did you also have a body-worn camera?
Yes, I did.
And did you run your body-worn camera?
From the time I activated my lights to head to the movie ranch, it was activated.
So, is there a fair portion of your body-worn camera that is you driving your car?
Yes, there is. I was on the other side of the county, of Santa Fe County, when the call came in, so it took me, I believe, 16 minutes to get to the call.
And after you arrived on scene, did you make contact with anyone?
With the security guard, and then myself and the corporal at the time, Corporal Alderete, we made contact at the church.
And was Corporal Alderete there before you?
I believe me and him went in at the same time.
So prior to you and Corporal Alderete arriving, was it just Deputy LaFleur?
Yes, it was.
So was there a way to effectively separate the witnesses at that point in time?
There was not. With 3 deputies on scene. We were trying to, at the time, find out how the victims were in the church. And fire personnel was telling us for help to land a helicopter. So there was no way at the time. We were trying to corral everybody and keep everybody corralled as much as possible to as witnesses.
Was one of the primary focuses helping the injured people?
That was our main focus. As soon as we found out that we had enough fire personnel working on the victims, our next thing is to find out where the gun's at.
And is that what you tried to do?
Yes.
Sir, have you had an opportunity to review the footage from your body-worn camera recently?
Yes, I have.
And I would like to move for the admission of State's Exhibit 2.
No objection.
And permission to publish.
States to is admitted, you may publish.
And we are going to start this video at 16 minutes and 5 seconds so that we don't spend 16 minutes watching him drive to the scene.
We're going to secure the film and all the crew members. Okay. Cool. Thanks. I have like 200 people out here, so. Alrighty. Let's see if. Yes, I already called for them. I need you to know who's in charge. Everybody stops what they're doing right now. This is a crime scene. Yeah. Okay, everybody stops what they're doing, and I need the film secured by whoever's in charge of the.
Mr. Benavides, we heard you give some instructions to that lady. Do you remember who that lady was?
I do not remember who she was.
Did you get an impression of whether she was someone in charge or not in charge?
I did. She was talking to Corporal Alderete. I figured that she had to be somebody important, a director or something.
And why were you telling her to do all these things?
I think I was telling the corporal,
Oh.
whoever was in charge, and I think she rose her hand, and then I directed to her.
And what are you talking about in terms of securing the video? Why would that be important?
Well, I saw video behind them, and they said they were filming.
As you sit here today, are you aware of whether or not there was actually a video recording of the shooting?
I don't know if there actually was. I never found out.
And you were not the primary detective on the case, is that right?
That is correct. I was not.
At this point in time, other than providing aid to the people who've been shot, what's the most important piece of evidence that you're concerned about?
In my head at that time, I was thinking about where the gun was.
Can I please get the gun, get them the help with the helicopter? Yes, please. Hey, I need pictures right away.
Why are you asking for pictures?
Trying to preserve the scene as much as possible. I know I'm wearing my body camera, but I'm trying to preserve everything I can.
On this particular scene, was that easy?
It was not.
Where's the props guy? Where's the props guy at? Yes, they're taking care of business. What else do you need there, Chief?
What's my radio? It's just here. Thank you. We cleared the gun.
Where is it?
Why are you asking for the props guy?
I think it was more of a guess to find out where the gun was.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find the gun.
And did you hear that person screaming in the background?
Yes, I did.
Do you know who that person was?
Joel.
And why was Joel screaming?
Because he was shot from what I saw.
And the gentleman who is standing right in front of you on the video screen there, do you recall your interaction with him?
I don't, other than the video. He just offered his services trying to find the props guy.
Okay, he's a guy there that tried to help you?
Yes.
Okay.
Where is it? It's not here. There's one there and there's one there. That's none of them? That's not. Okay.
What happened there?
I believe he's a director, and he took me to a cart, to a gray cart, and there was 2 guns on the cart, and he told me that those weren't the 2 guns used in the church at that time.
So not the gun you're looking for?
Exactly.
Charge, ma'am. I need to know where the gun's at right now.
Armor, I need to know where the guns are at.
How do I know this is a gun?
That's the gun.
Okay. Where are they at?
Do you know what discussion you're having? What are you asking about?
I'm asking about the gun, if that was the right gun used. She told me yes. And then she's talking about the ammunition.
Okay. Was the ammunition readily available right there?
It was not.
Mr. Benavides, why did you let that gentleman with the hat on go collect the rounds or the cart or whatever it was he said?
I had 3 deputies on scene. I was taking care of the gun at the time and the props person. I had 2 other deputies trying to control their part of the scene. I was keeping my eye as much as I can on the person going for the ammunition.
Did he bring something back to you?
He brought me the gray cart that originally that we had gone and we were looking for the gun that was used. That was the gray cart that he brought back.
And you saw that cart previously because the other gentleman walked you up to it, right?
That is correct.
So when this gentleman brings you the cart, does it appear to have been...
Objection, leading.
Sorry.
Sustained.
Did it seem different when the gentleman brought it back to you?
Leading.
Sustained.
How did the cart look when it was brought to you?
The cart looked the same to me. It was in disorder. There was still 2 guns on top of it.
Yeah, that's not it. The one.
But what did we just see you do there?
I cleared the gun and I secured it in the front of my unit.
And what does it mean to clear a gun?
I was making it safe for myself and for the crime scene tech, or a detective that would look at it after I secured it.
Did it have any ammunition in it?
It did not.
This is going to be the second one on Banana Creek. Okay, boarding.
What did you do with that gun?
I secured it in the front of my unit and I locked the door.
Oh my God, fuck. I'm so. Are they okay?
Hey, Santa Fe, we need more units out here.
I haven't been inside. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Okay, are there any benefits to
Is this the cart you spoke of?
That is the cart that I originally was taken to by the other gentleman. Same cart.
So, okay,
We have rounds here.
okay, now, so, this is the one, I'm pretty sure, that's the one, and okay, sorry.
You're okay.
Sorry.
Just relax. Just relax.
So scared.
Yeah, you're all right. Just relax.
So here's the box that I got them out of.
Okay, leave them right there. Leave them right there, okay? Relax. I just need you.
We saw you take something. What did you take?
There were 2 white boxes of rounds that the prop person, Hannah, said that these were the rounds used.
And this person that you took those rounds from, the person that's right here in the center of the video screen, is that Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes, it is.
Do you see Ms. Gutierrez sitting in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you just go ahead and point her out and tell us what she's wearing for the record?
She's wearing a gray jacket and a white top.
And also, just for the record, where is Bonanza Creek Ranch located?
Bonanza Creek Ranch is on the southern end of Santa Fe County. It's off the frontage road, I-25 frontage road.
For the record, state of New Mexico.
In the state of New Mexico.
Thank you, sir.
Just relax, okay? I just need you to relax. Just please relax, okay? Just take deep breaths and relax. Can somebody get water for her? No, the helicopter's here for her. Yeah, no, the helicopter's here for her.
Is she fucking, where the fuck are these entry wounds? Is she okay? Can somebody tell me anything?
I don't know anything. I just, right now, I don't know. I'm just trying to secure everything.
Mr. Benavides, do you know why the helicopter is still there?
The helicopter, in my experience, lands and they try to stabilize the victim before they fly him out. The victim has to be stable before they fly him out.
Can that sometimes take time?
Yes, from my experience, yes, it takes a little bit of time.
I need to know, before I start getting information, she's the armor. Who are you? I'm the production designer. Okay, thank you. And you? I'm the unit production manager. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I won't remember your names, I'm sorry. So.
You're fine, you're fine.
Can somebody get him water?
Yeah, and he did.
Oh my god.
Do you remember where those boxes of ammunition are right now?
Yes, they're on the left side of the cart on a piece of paper.
And are you keeping an eye on them?
I am.
And you saw what they... Did you see them when she handed them to you?
I saw them. I know what they physically look like, yes.
Thank you.
My name is Shannon here
Hi.
for the, my husband and I own the ranch.
Okay, my name's Tim.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so, yes, I mean, I'm not worried about the insurance, I'm worried about her life, so.
Oh, absolutely,
Okay,
that's
so-
what I'm saying.
So,
No moving forward.
no,
No. What can I do to help you?
we are bringing a whole lot of units here because there's a whole lot of people here.
Yes, we're trying
Okay.
to clear them out.
No, nobody's getting cleared out, everybody is staying where they're at,
Okay,
okay? We're trying, that's what, so difficult, we're trying to hold everybody where they're at.
okay.
Okay, what I'm gonna have you do is sit in here, okay? You're not arrested. The door's gonna stay open. Since you're the armor, they're gonna wanna talk to you more than anybody, okay?
Mr. Benavides, why did you ask Ms. Gutierrez to get into your truck?
With the scene being so active, and her being the armor, I couldn't have her walk off and lose her. So I put her in my unit. As you heard, she was not under arrest. They just needed to talk to her.
Can you describe the inside of your unit?
Yes, it's caged from the middle of my unit. My windows are caged up also, and you cannot get into the front of my unit at all.
Not even if you're sitting in the back?
Not even if you're sitting in the back. You do not have access to the front of my vehicle.
Can I please have that water?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Just relax, okay? I'm just trying to, there's a whole lot of people here, so I'm trying to secure everybody.
Do you want me to stay with you?
You can stay right here with us.
Stay right here with you. I will not go anywhere.
You can leave the door open. You don't have to do anything, okay? Hey, to the bed.
Do you remember what you're saying there?
I believe I was telling Corporal Alderete to put the yellow tape to the med truck, I think, or I was asking for a med unit to come and check on Hannah.
Understood. And why would you ask for a medical unit to come check on Hannah?
The way she was pretty much hyperventilating, and I didn't want her to pass out, and then we have a bigger problem.
Okay.
Santa Fe. If I could have a unit head to St. B's, we got one shot in the shoulder. That one's going to St. B's. The helo just landed, and they are trying to get that other 41 stable. So if I could have somebody go to St. B's and with this other subject.
What is St. V's for people who don't know that short name?
That's St. Vincent's Hospital here in Santa Fe.
And why are you sending a unit to St. V's?
For one, for logistics, to help the detectives find out how the victims are doing.
Let me also ask you this. Is there potentially evidence to be collected?
Yes, there is. Clothing, stuff like that. Yes.
Anything else you can think of?
Maybe the projectile still in them. I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you radio the truck down?
No, not at all. I'm sorry. I didn't even step up.
I got people there with Alec Baldwin, actor. You don't want to pull the trigger, you don't have sit tight or?
Yeah, you have to sit tight.
So I have the armory here.
Oh, there's the gold news is in there.
And I got the two people that went in the room.
Okay.
All those things he's back with you, or?
No, we know where he's at. We know who he is.
Yeah.
We just need to stay. Is he in a trailer? Okay. All right. So try to keep him away from everybody. Not to talk to anybody. That's fine.
Mr. Benavides, tell us what that conversation was about.
So Deputy LaFleur and I were conversating on what we have. He was telling me who the shooter was, and who he had over there. He had more witnesses. And what we were talking about, because there's 4 of us now, there was another deputy that just showed up on scene. We were trying to keep everybody separated, so they wouldn't talk about the case.
And is there a specific person that you're talking about keeping separated?
Alec Baldwin.
Thank you.
Production card. If you get all the director, get a production card. Is it? Sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Let me know how.
Yeah. Okay. Right. armor. Pretty much they don't touch it until the armor gives it to them. And the director was going over the shot, going over what was going to happen in the set, and she got shot in the chest. And then that's what it sounds. I don't know. We didn't have it pictured, but there, like I said, there's like 200 people here. There was four people in the room. There was 4 people in the room, and 2 of them were shot. Okay, 2 shots. 141 in the chest. The other male shot in the shoulder. We do not right now. We do not. Everything is so fluid.
Mr. Benavides, do you remember who you're talking to?
I believe I was talking to Lieutenant Michael Martinez. He was the lieutenant of the Criminal Investigation Division, the detectives, and I was briefing them over the phone what was happening.
Why would you do that?
Because this goes straight to him and his detectives, so I was trying to brief him of what equipment he might need, how many personnel he might need.
Did you say the situation is very fluid?
Yes.
What did you mean?
It is an active scene. There's still people walking around, still people trying to get into the church. They're just people everywhere.
But it is a active file with Alec Baldwin. Just to let you know that. All right. Bye. Do you want to talk to me, sir?
Sir, Alec is he's gonna smoke a cigarette and he'll sit in his own car.
Okay.
His vehicle.
Alec Baldwin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm good, thank you. I just drank a Red Bull right before and I'm all hyped up. Sorry. Okay.
I'm gonna stand by, so if you need to, yes, please.
You doing okay?
No!
Lieutenant! Oh, I thought you were the lieutenant. I need somebody to check that 41, the armor. She's having a panic attack. I need somebody to check for her.
Okay.
Okay.
The armor?
Yeah, she's the armor. She's hyperventilating. She's having a... What's that?
I gotta go get that guy over there and bring him back here.
Where is he?
He's right there next to the guy with the cowboy hat. Wearing the black.
The one on the right. I'll go get him. Okay, yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for helping. You guys security?
You need security, is that what you're saying?
Yes, just that. That's it. Okay. All right.
The gentleman in G.
Hey, Doc, in my unit, it's the girl in the middle. You, sir? You were in the... Yes. Okay. I need you just to head that way for me, please. Thank you.
Where are you telling that guy to go?
So I was told that he was in the church, so I was directing him towards either Corporal Alderete or Deputy LaFleur.
And for what purpose?
He was possibly a witness.
The house answers.
We were told by the police.
Okay, hold on. All right, let me see who you guys are. I don't want too many people here.
Lawyer and lawyer.
Okay, hold on. What's up?
I don't have any additional security guards. I got one. I got to keep the gate. Okay. I've got my two guys right here. You can post them wherever you want.
Okay, I'll figure that out. Let me go see what's going on with these guys, and I'll be right back.
These guys are standing by.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, okay. You okay? Yes, ma'am. Okay, where's that lady that was in charge?
I need you guys.
This is Reed, one of our camera operators.
Okay, come here, sir. How's it going? My name's Lieutenant Benavides.
Can I go to the hospital?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So, Corporal, we got a camera operator who is in the room. Okay? Okay, it's just hard. We can't let all people in and out, so if you could, I'm going to try to get over here. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to find the director, whoever directed us on who was in the room. I'm trying to find her so she could help me out and make sure we have everybody. Okay?
I can do that.
Okay.
I'm the UPM. This is, if it's not her set, it's mine.
Okay.
So I can help you. Tell me how I can.
Okay, who is this?
This is our lawyer.
Okay. Lieutenant Benavides, I didn't mean to be rude to you, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to secure everybody. And who is that? Benavides.
No, you're fine.
So I have a whole lot of people coming this way, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're one of our co-producers.
Okay.
These two gentlemen right here are Lucas and Marcos. They're my locations peeps.
Yes.
A little farther down in the white is Shannon. She's the owner of the ranch. The
Okay.
gentleman who I was talking to earlier in the brown hat is Brian, the production designer.
Yes, I met him.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be with you in a little bit, ma'am. Okay? Let me talk to my guys to secure this area. Corporal, I need somebody on that side to secure, so we're not going in and out. Everybody pretty much that's in is staying in.
Who are these officers? What's happening here?
More deputies coming, like I was asking for. So this makes 6 deputies on scene right now. I'm just trying to direct them to try to secure as much of the scene as I can.
The crime scene law, because it's still fluid. We still have that still on deck. Okay, I don't know. One patient still here. Did we have somebody going to the hospital?
Yes, they say that.
Okay. If you can stand on that side and make sure people aren't coming in and out. Everybody that's in stays in.
Did I hear you say that one of the injured people was still there?
Yes, that's correct.
And do you know why?
They were trying to get the female stable so they could fly her out.
Still?
Still.
Here also, I have the corporal on that side with Sanchez. He's still trying to get the information. It looks like we have all the people that were in the room.
I was in the room.
Okay, come here. If you could go see that gentleman. Sanchez! I need you to stay by my unit. I have the weapon in my truck,
Okay.
and all the ammunition on that tray.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's an actual crime?
It was Alec Baldwin. He's sitting over there. He shot, and then he shot. He got the gun from the armor who I have in my car. She's not under arrest. She just the armor. So she's there. So if you Yep.
What's an entry point?
It's a check-in point for whoever comes into the scene right now. From now on, as detectives, crime scene techs, medical personnel, whoever else is coming on board.
So is there a break in the crime scene tape right there?
I believe I don't remember if Deputy Puentes put a break or he's just lifting up the tape. I don't remember which.
Where is the tape at this point in time?
It is, the yellow tape is connected to my vehicle, and it's pretty much connected to all the sheriff's personnel vehicles that are on scene.
And is it, what is it cordoning off?
It's cordoning off the makeshift church.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, I still have those charges taken. I told him to. That's where. No. It's in my hand. It's a 45. I have the dummy rounds right here. It's a 45. Okay. Okay, and we will.
Let me back that up. Why are you giving this information to this gentleman? Tell us what's happening.
So the med unit is asking what kind of weapon was used, and I'm letting them know what Hannah told me. Is it was a 45. She pointed to the two white ammo boxes, and I was reading out the ammo boxes, 45 dummy rounds.
Bear with me, I'm trying to, there we go. What did those boxes look like?
Two white ammo boxes. They were white and it had a label on the flap end.
Did you recognize them?
Recognize as it how?
Had you seen them previously?
Oh yes, they're the ones that Hannah told me that these were the rounds used for that day.
Did they look different?
They did not.
Did the prop cart look different?
It did not.
She said this is the one that's empty. This is the one that she said.
Caliber size?
It's a 45. I have the dummy rounds right here. It's a 45. Okay. Okay, and we will. Let's go this way. I have a lawyer here already. Okay.
Is one of those ladies the lawyer?
I believe the one on the left, the white shirted lady, is the lawyer.
And where are the witnesses who were in the church at the time of the shooting?
They are in the front of the church with Corporal Alderete or with Deputy LaFleur.
How far away from those people is she?
The lawyer?
Yeah.
Shouting distance, I guess.
If she were to shout, would you have heard her?
Yes.
Verse for the med.
Date of birth and social. For me or for her?
For her. Would anybody have that?
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
Thank you.
The name was Halyna
Hutchins? Halyna Hutchins, Hylena. Here, I get it for you.
You got it, Doc? Yeah. So I have,
Looks like Alec Baldwin is the one that pulled the trigger.
yeah, but I have the armor in my unit, I have the gun, with Puentes, and there the tray has the dummy rounds. Okay, I have Frederick on that side. Puentes is taking care of here, he's gonna start taking care of the lock.
I got this down until they get the patient still behind there, until they HP dog and then I'll put it up.
Okay. And then make sure everybody goes to Sanchez. All the personnel that were in there, make sure he has everybody. Okay?
And get Sanchez up there, there's a lot of
Yeah, I have more people coming.
Did we hear you say you have more people coming?
I was hoping I had more people coming, but I kept asking for more people.
Let me ask you, how big is the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department?
When I left, we had 100 officers.
And if you can estimate for us, on a day like October 21st, 2021, how many officers would have been available to respond to this call out?
3 deputies. All I had. That's all I had. We are stationed all over the county. So I was a rover. I believe the corporal was north of Santa Fe County. And then I had a deputy that was assigned to Santa Fe. But in this case, Deputy LaFleur was coming in for overtime, and he happened to hear the call and he helped out.
Thank you.
She okay? She okay?
She's shaking out.
I know, that's why I called the meds for her. Yeah. I want her checked to make sure she's not, you know.
Yeah, I think they're testing the sugar level right now.
Okay. We just need her to do it.
I'll bring it back. All right. Okay. Careful, let's just concentrate.
Well,
Yeah.
as long as she's okay. She's already dealing with all this.
Yeah.
She needs to get it. She needs to be good. Okay? Yes, so she told me which guns were, which bullets came from it.
What do you have in your hand right now?
I have the 2 ammo boxes in my hand from the cart that Hannah pointed out that were used.
We keep everything else the same. I'm gonna keep
these, like these here.
Uh-huh.
Those are dummies.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure somebody will be asking about those.
Yeah.
What did that guy just do?
He reached over the yellow tape and he grabbed a bullet and he shook it to show that it was a dummy round, and then he put it back.
And where did he grab it from? One of the boxes?
No, he did not. There was like a little cubby on the tray. He just reached over, grabbed it, and put it back.
And you saw that?
Yes.
Yes, that's already secured. Somebody get it.
Tell us what you just did there.
With the 2 white ammo boxes that Hannah pointed out that were used that day, I secured them in the front of my unit on the driver's side seat.
And was the unit locked?
As soon as I closed the door, I hit my manual switch and I heard it and it clicked closed.
Did you see anything that would cause you to believe that anyone planted evidence?
I did not, no.
Did you see anything that would cause you to believe that anyone tampered with anything on that cart?
No.
Any reason to believe anyone got into your unit and did anything with the evidence you had in there?
No.
I got 2 extra people which help me out, helping secure this area.
All right, we're going to take our afternoon break. Please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court. Thank you.
And would you demonstrate for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the different positions and also specifically the half-cock position and the rotation of the cylinder?
Sure. Well, I checked it, but again, just so everyone feels as comfortable as they're going to be around a firearm.
Hang on just a second.
You should probably stand in the middle.
Yeah, do you want to stand?
Okay.
And
Sure.
That would be great.
I'm left-hand dominant, so I have to explain that. The hammer is fully down. If there were a live cartridge in this gun, the firing pin would be resting right against it. So this is an unsafe carry position if it were a loaded gun. It would also be the position if I had just fired it. There would be a spent cartridge. The firing pin would be deep into the primer of that cartridge. You can also see that the trigger is back. Now when I pull it, there. That's the safety position. Very little movement, but the hammer is now about 1/8 of an inch rearward. The trigger has just popped forward, so it's got an internal spring that is resetting. Cylinder is still locked up, cannot rotate. Now when I pull it to the load position, you may have seen the cylinder rotate already. It's free to rotate now. The little latch that I mentioned, which we can't see, has been pulled down by that motion. There's a loading gate here on the side that's opened, and this is where I would either remove fired cartridges or place live cartridges up to a total of 6. After loading it, fully loading it, I close that gate, and I have 2 choices. If I'm ready to shoot, I'm going to cock it. And if I've decided what I'm going to shoot at is to be shot at, pull the trigger. Hammer falls off of a ledge, a little notch. Actually, it's more of a step on the hammer. So now we're back to where we were a moment ago. If I'm going to fire it again, pull it all the way back. Hammer stays in position, which we saw in the photographs, which again is important because when we get to the damage that occurred with the gun, the hammer won't stay there. If I'm going to let it down, if I'm going to render this gun safe, I decide I'm not going to shoot. I do have to pull the trigger, but I get my thumb firmly on this spur. Pull the trigger, let it down. Once I get past the halfway point, I can let go of the trigger and it engages the safety notch again. So there's all the steps. It's called a single action. Probably heard that term a couple of times because pulling the trigger accomplishes one single thing. It fires the gun.
In terms of, sorry. In terms of that loading gate and the loading of the gun, if you were to show me the primers and the head stamps of the rounds that you have in the gun, and we know that there are none, but this is, we're just going to play pretend. Show me how you would show me what's in that gun.
Well, I bring it up, no one downrange.
Here, maybe we go this way so that
I bring the hammer to half cock.
Okay.
We want to show the jury.
Let's go over here. So they can see behind
okay.
us. There we go.
She used a term, an industry term, the head stamp. It's what's written on the cartridge, and in the middle of which is a primer. So if she wanted to see, or any of you wanted to see, are there fired cartridges in here? Live cartridges, all 6? I just rotate the cylinder. And we go a couple of times around, see if there are any empty chambers or fired cartridges or live rounds. If we wanted to take them out, If they're live, you just dump them out. If they're fired, you need this ejection rod here to knock a spent cartridge out because it's expanding.
So if you were to show me the rounds that you have in the gun in this manner, I can only see the head stamp and primer of one cartridge at a time.
That's right. In this view from behind the gun with the gate open.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Can I take my seat?
Yes. So, when you, oh, thank you. Is there anything else that you can think of from the documents that you reviewed that went into, that contributed to your opinion that the gun was in proper working order when it was received at the FBI?
Yes, the examiner was able to fire at least 12 live cartridges for comparison purposes to recover bullets and fired cartridge cases. The gun had to be in working order to do that. Had it been in the condition I later found it, you wouldn't have been able to do that.
And the condition that you later found it, can you just kind of describe what was wrong with it when you took it into evidence? And I'm going to pull an 8 up. This is going to be an exhibit that's already entered into evidence, Exhibit 97A.
It had been partially disassembled. It was in a gun box with some ties.
I'm working on it. Hang on. Pardon me, where's my... Okay. If you can use this as an aid and sir, your screen, you can, use it to draw lines and all kinds of stuff.
So it's a touch screen.
It is, if you need some assistance.
This is one of the FBI, of the many FBI pictures, and you're looking at 3 parts of the gun. The obvious one's the hammer.
He's going to show you how to mark it and get rid of it.
How do I erase it? Okay. The hammer's pretty obvious. Here's the firing pin. I really wanted to make a circle. It's making arrows. Can it? You tricked me. Okay, we're looking at the hammer, and I'm really pressing hard. The hammer, the important part of the hammer are these notches you can see here. There's 2 clear notches. Something goes in them. Well, one of them is the safety position. The next one is the load position. The one that's very difficult to see, and I almost obliterated it, is down at the bottom of my circle. That's where the full cock step would be, but it's been peened, P-E-E-N-E-D. It's been knocked off, rounded off, and is full of very rough tool marks. The piece that would fit into each one of those is the trigger. And the trigger is the black piece here, but the tip of the trigger, in the industry is called the sear, S-E-A-R. That's the piece that goes in those 3 locations. And it really rests on this step when it's in the full cock position. So That's somewhat tenuous, and the pulling of the trigger causes it to slide off, the hammer to fall. There's a little piece in that circle I just drew. That's the broken off sear of the trigger, so it's an incomplete trigger. And finally, the object up here has two names. The company that makes this reproduction gun calls it the bolt, B-O-L-T. I've always called it a cylinder stop latch. It was the thing that was securing the cylinder in the safety position, in the full cock position, but not in the loading position. The left side of that goes up into the notches in the cylinder for those previous positions and drops down and allows the cylinder to rotate in the load position. So looking at those both photographically and in person, I could see that the full cock step or notch on the hammer was broken away, beaten away, or knocked away. Kind of hard to describe it if you don't see it under the microscope. And the sear was broken off, and the stop latch, the little wings, there's two pieces that protrude out. That also was broken, and the gun can't work in the normal fashion if it had been that way on the movie set.
And based on your document review, do you have an opinion about how the bolt, the trigger sear, and the hammer were damaged? What took place that caused that damage?
The hammer had to be in the full cock position, and one or more substantial blows, impacts to the hammer, because it's just sitting, the sear and the trigger and the full cock notch are just sitting there engaged with each other, and it's a small area. So if you give a substantial blow, one or more, to the back of the hammer, it is stressing that area, and it will finally, and did finally, fail. And I can see under the microscope a lot of very rough tool marks where it's just rolled over and rounded off. It's no longer a step. It's a rounded area which cannot retain the trigger even if it was intact.
What's your understanding of the circumstances of the blows you're talking about?
As I understood reading the examiner's notes and report, it was an evaluation of whether this gun was prone to accidental discharge by an impact to the hammer.
Revolver.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to object.
All right, first of all, everybody's nervous because you have not demonstrated to us that they are unloaded. So before you start showing us the weapons, make sure they're unloaded, including that one that you just touched.
Mr. Kuski, do you agree with me that basic gun safety requires that the handler of the gun not point the gun at anyone?
If it's a real gun, yes.
Do you agree with me that while you were sitting here in the courtroom, you pulled out a gun and you pointed it at the judge?
I do not.
You disagree?
I pointed the gun into this space up here, never directly at the judge.
Do you agree that basic gun safety requires that you keep the muzzle of the gun pointed down for safety?
Not at all. A gun may be pointed, as any hunter education class like I taught, may be pointed up, may be pointed back, may be pointed cross arms, as in the military, may be pointed at the ground, may be put in something like a military stance, such as order arms with the butt on the ground and the piece right under your arm. So, no. And to further, in a cross draw or any of the...
No, I'm not talking about a cross draw, thank you. Do you agree that when you pulled that firearm out and pointed it in the direction of the judge, the deputy standing next to you had to intervene and grab the gun and point it down.
I'm going to object.
Mr. Kuski, have you ever been qualified as an expert in firearms safety in a court of law?
No.
Have you ever worked on criminal cases before?
Yes, I have.
Have all of the cases that the criminal cases that you've worked on, has Mr. Bowles been the attorney in all of them?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Give me a moment, please. Let me clarify my question. Have you worked on criminal cases related to the securities industry?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Other than, and you're an investment banker, correct?
Not exactly, but sufficient name for it.
Okay. And other than working on criminal cases having to do with securities, do you agree with me that the only other types of criminal cases you've worked on have all involved Mr. Bowles?
I do not.
Isn't it true, sir, that you provided a pretrial interview in this case on November 29th, 2023?
Yes.
And isn't it true that during that interview, my investigator, Mr. Rice, asked you, is Mr. Bowles the only attorney that you've worked with? And your response was, outside of the securities industry in the past, yes.
Yes, and I have worked since then, and I have worked prior to that confidentially with cases before the United States Navy and other cases which were criminal, and I believed you were speaking only of what's going on here. If you'd like to hear the other ones, I'm very happy to tell you. I worked, for example, with the Monterey Sheriffs.
Is there a question?
No, there isn't. There is not a question on the table right now. You gave a lengthy description about how a person could turn a dummy round into a live round. You recall the testimony that you gave moments ago.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about doing the opposite, okay? I want to talk to you about taking a live round and turning it into a dummy round.
Okay.
Okay? Do you agree with me, sir, that the first step is you would place the live round in the inertia puller and smack it so that the projectile separates and the powder comes out?
Yes.
And At that point in time, you are left with an empty casing, a projectile, a pile of gunpowder, but the problem with your casing is that it still has a live primer, right?
That's right.
So in order to make the primer inert, you can take that empty shell casing with that live primer, you can put it into a firearm, and you can fire it.
Correct.
And now I've made the primer inert.
There is another way if you wish to hear.
No, I appreciate you, though, but
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
You agree that what I'm saying, it can be done.
Can be done.
And then after I've fired it and I've heard the pop, knowing that the primer has now been made inert, I can take that projectile and I can just put super glue on it and stick it back into that casing.
Well, you couldn't normally without expanding the case. That's what I was talking about when you do a sizer. You could expand the case with a sizer, because what's going to happen in many cases, and I can't say every one because I've never done super glue, is it's very difficult to get a bullet into a case that hasn't been expanded and sized. You could try it. I can't guarantee it'll work.
Sure, I mean, you can take the empty shell casing and you can put it on top of a projectile, and you can take your inertia puller or a hammer and just tap it down.
An inertia puller is made out of plastic. It is not for tapping anything down. But you could take a hammer, but what's very likely to happen is you'll bend the case beyond all use and recognition, and it can't fall in. That's why you expand cases in the process. You could try it. I've never beat in any bullets. Some bullets are very, very hard, some are soft. So it is possible with a soft lead bullet that you could maybe not bend your case and maybe not shave off your bullet. Possible.
And isn't it true, sir, that the live ammunition found on the set of Rust in fact had soft lead bullets?
I didn't measure the lead, so there's something called a
Hang on, I appreciate your response. In fact, sir, you have never actually viewed the live rounds that are in evidence. You've only seen pictures of them, isn't that correct? So you haven't taken them and looked at them, right?
No, I've taken all the pictures and looked, that's it.
Okay, but you watched the testimony of our expert, Mr. Haig.
Yes, I did.
And isn't it true that Mr. Haig testified that the projectiles from the live rounds found on the set of Rust were soft lead?
I didn't hear soft, but lead, certainly.
They weren't copper jacketed, correct?
No, not copper jacketed.
And he also testified that because they were lead, and lead is a soft metal, that's the reason that that projectile became so damaged when it went through Ms. Hutchins and into Mr. Souza.
Absolutely, that's called ballooning.
All right, thank you, sir. You testified on direct examination that you can't tell a live round from a dummy round in a photograph.
Simply in a photograph. I agree with Mr. Haig, who said the same thing.
Well, do you agree with me that you can tell a live round from a dummy round in a photograph if that dummy round has a hole drilled into the casing so it can't have any gunpowder?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir. At what point in time do you have contact with Ms. Gutierrez?
When Mr. Baldwin was called to set, when he arrived on the set.
Who called Mr. Baldwin to set?
I did.
Did you at the same time make any request for the armorer or armorer services?
I did not.
Did you ask for the gun?
I did not ask for the gun.
And why wouldn't you have asked for the gun?
Because it's normal procedure on certainly all of the productions that I've worked on with firearms. And it's not just for firearms, it's for props and wardrobe, that when first team is called to set, it's announced over a walkie-talkie. The first assistant director would go on to the walkie-talkie and say, "Camera is ready, first team, please." This alerts all the different departments. Certainly costumes, because they're going to need to do whatever, put a piece of costume on the actor, make adjustments. Hair and makeup, they're going to need to do their touches. Props, They're going to need to give the prop that's needed to the actor, and this is also a signal, a cue to the armorer that the actor that needs the firearm is going to be on set, and I should be there. The armorer, the armorer, I should be there to give the gun to the actor.
Okay, so you didn't actually call for the gun, but you agree that Ms. Gutierrez may have understood that it would be time for her to come into the church.
Yes.
There's a question, but please, we're going to disregard the question asked. All right, thank you.
And my apologies. Just to be clear, you don't know what Ms. Gutierrez thought or why she did what she did in that moment, correct? You don't know that Ms. Gutierrez thought to herself, I better come into the church. You're making that assumption, correct?
I'm making that assumption.
Okay. But to be clear, you did not call for the gun.
No.
Okay. Does Ms. Gutierrez appear in the church?
Yes, very shortly after Mr. Baldwin appeared on set.
Okay, go ahead and kind of walk us through this. Tell us about when Mr. Baldwin appears in the church and then Ms. Gutierrez, and walk us through what happens.
Mr. Baldwin entered the church. He took his position where he was needed in the pew of the church. I'm standing in front of Mr. Baldwin, facing Mr. Baldwin. It was no more than 5 feet from him. I was a body width to what would be his left. And Miss Gutierrez appeared on my left-hand side with the revolver, and she said, let's do the gun check. She opened up the latch to show the drum of the revolver. She rotated the cylinder. It was empty. Checked the barrel. It was what is referred to as a cold gun. And Ms. Gutierrez just took a few steps and gave the gun to Mr. Baldwin. Now,
It's your recollection at that point in time that the gun was empty, it did not have dummies in it?
It absolutely is empty.
Okay. And you looked at it, correct?
I looked at it, yes.
Now, let me stop for a moment. Were there any opportunity, at any point in time during that day, did you sit in for Mr. Baldwin?
I did.
When was that?
After lunch.
Okay. And when you sat in for Mr. Baldwin, was the firearm in the church?
No.
Okay. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? Why are you sitting in for him? Explain to the jury how that happens.
Well, usually there is a stand-in for the actor, a person, and most times it's a person that matches the height and hair color, look of the actor. There was a stand-in for Mr. Baldwin, and when I entered the church after lunch, the stand-in for Mr. Baldwin was there. And because of COVID, I wanted to keep the amount of people in the church to and I typically do that anyway, outside of the pandemic, before the pandemic, just in smaller spaces, I would try to keep. What I usually say is, if you don't have to be there, please don't. So, because of COVID and just generally, I'd like to keep only the people that are needed for the shot there. I said, his name was Bill. I said, Bill, it's okay. I can sit in for Alec, and it was a good opportunity. Just as if I'm sitting in the pew right now, I can observe everything, the crew preparing, and That's what I did.
Did you need to have a firearm at that point in time?
I did not. No.
Did you have a firearm at that point in time?
No, I did not.
Were you using anything to mimic a firearm?
I recall holding up my hand like this as a finger.
Just so that they could set up the shot?
Yeah.
Okay. So after the setting up of the shot, after you sitting in for Mr. Baldwin, just to be clear, it's your recollection that Mr. Baldwin came in and Ms. Gutierrez came in around the same time?
Yes.
Okay. She does the gun check with you. You see an empty gun. To your recollection, Ms. Gutierrez hands the gun to Mr. Baldwin. Is that right?
That's correct.
What happens after that? How do we end up with a gun that is no longer empty?
I did not see the gun taken away from Mr. Baldwin. I'm still in the same position, facing him, body width to his left, no more than 5 feet in front of him. You know, as an assistant director, you're looking around, you're observing, you're communicating with people. I did not see Ms. Gutierrez take the gun from Mr. Baldwin, but she appeared back on my left-hand side, and she said that she had put dummy rounds into the revolver.
And at that point in time, was another safety check done?
She opened up the latch to the revolver. I recall seeing 3 to 4 what I believe to be dummy rounds. I had seen the dummy rounds before.
And when you say you saw them before, are you talking about that day or?
Before that day.
Okay, and let me ask you, under what circumstances would you have seen the dummy rounds if the only other time that guns were dummied up was a rifle?
Yes, and I believe on that day I did see those dummy rounds on her cart.
Okay, so you were familiar with what they looked like?
They had a very distinctive, bright brass end to it. What would be the end of the bottom of the shell casing, and all the primers were depressed, meaning that this has already been a bullet that has been fired. And,
but sir, let me ask you, you indicated that you only saw 3 or 4, you didn't see 6.
I don't recall her fully rotating the cylinder.
Okay. You don't recall her fully rotating it?
I do not.
Okay. And even though the cylinder wasn't fully rotated, did you let that safety check sort of pass?
I did.
Okay. And what's your recollection about what happened to the gun after that?
She took a few steps to Mr. Baldwin and gave Ms. Baldwin the gun.
Okay. And let me ask you, sir, were you criminally charged in this case?
I was.
And did you enter a no contest plea to negligent use of a firearm?
I did.
And why did you do that? When I say why, what in your mind caused you to be, what caused a plea to negligent use of a firearm to be appropriate? What did you do that would justify that?
I was negligent in checking the gun properly.
Okay, that's the reason that you took that plea, is that right?
That's correct.
So, to the best of your recollection, Ms. Gutierrez hands the gun to Mr. Baldwin. Walk us through what happens after that.
The revolver is placed. Mr. Baldwin had a holster that the gun was basically at his chest, and his action was to take the gun out and point it at what had been the 2 U.S. Marshals, and he was pulling it out. I'm sure he was getting used to that action. He was in communication with Miss Hutchins about where to where to point the gun.
Do you recall, sir, was Mr. Souza also in the room?
He was.
Was Mr. Souza also participating in how to set up this shot? Do you recall?
No, I just recall that it was communication between Mr. Baldwin and Halyna.
Okay. And then what happened?
The gun went off.
When the gun went off, what did you think happened?
There's so many thoughts. Honestly, the idea that it was a live round of ammunition that went off was just not, it wasn't computing. It wasn't, and it was my thought was that a blank round had been loaded, and there had been another instance that an actor was killed from a blank round, and I just thought that there something in the blank round, a wadding. I had heard at one time that maybe they used pieces of wax to keep the black powder in the blank round, or was there an obstruction in the barrel? It just wasn't something I could compute in my mind.
Sir, after you heard the gun go off, tell us what you saw in terms of the reaction by Ms. Hutchins and Mr. Souza.
Ms. Hutchins is to my left, maybe 3 feet away. Yeah, it was my recollection that I might have been the first person to her. She was on the ground. Perhaps Ross Ariego might have been there, which would have made sense because he was the dolly grip, and he would have been close as anybody to Halyna.
Did you speak to Ms. Hutchins when you approached her?
I did.
What did you say?
Are you all right?
Did she respond?
Yes. She said, I can't feel my legs.
And when you're ready, just tell us what happened after that. Take a break if you need to.
I'm ready. I immediately left the church to make sure that 911 was being called. And the set medic appeared and she was treating Ms. Hutchins, and I stayed out of the church just to keep